don't get the chance. They probably are psychologically different too.
If you, I'm going to open up to the floor in a few minutes. If you have questions you'd like to ask, just go make your way to the microphones. And if you have questions stored up this morning that you wanted to ask before and didn't get to ask, now's a good time to do it. There's a mic at the back. There's a mic right in the central aisles. Look for the central aisles. One of the interesting things that was talked about. I'm sorry, Dr. Ishii, did you want to?
I want to add some comments. You know, I was surprised to see that in the feeding place at Wamba, adult females come first and are allowed to eat. And then adult males come. But, you know, more than 8 years ago at the Yak's laboratory, males, male and female, are housed together, and psychologists put food. Males monopolize 1, 2, 3.
One meal at a time?
Yeah. All the food.
All the food was there.
But when females become estrus, males surrender food to female. Do not eat. So perhaps penguin chimpanzee, bonobo, is a sexual mode of chimpanzee. Yeah.
They're sexual.
Sex model.
They're a sex model for chimpanzees.
Yeah.
Well, that was the
And,
point.
you know,
That was the point that was made to me years ago when they first talked about this. How sexual bonobos were, even offering sexual favors for food.
Yeah.
You know, like
And I want to add, you know, intergroup relationship is very different.
Right.
People say, different groups, members of different groups mingled together. But this is very from the very scant data, only small data. When I visited in 1977, we were observing with Kano one group in the tree feeding fruits, and another group approaching. And all these chimpanzees, bonobos, got down and ran away. So I pointed out that this is similar to chimpanzee. Intergroup relationship is not so peaceful. And in the early years of Mahare chimpanzee study, K group and M group were had overlapping areas, you know, overlapping areas. M group, sometimes M group come, K group do not go out very far away, and I interpret that they share the same place, but in different part of the same place, and very flexible social system. But after that, many chimpanzees of M group come, K group run away northward. All the chimpanzees.
They ran away.
And so we need more observation of bonobos. Unfortunately, the bonobo study was curtailed because of the civil war, and when much more data could be expected, the research was stopped.
We'll talk a little bit about more this afternoon about the future and what we need to do, and as we look at the next 40 years. Are people surprised? We talked about the cultural, finding all the cultural variation that's going on. Were researchers really surprised to find that kind of variation? Is this was so out of the textbooks that Joan, that people were just shocked by all of this?
I think people have been surprised by the evidence for behavioral traditions varying across chimpanzee groups. We knew that chimps use tools for a long time now, but now we've discovered that there's this whole multitude of variations in behaviors across sites, and we found out that we see this in chimps, but we also see it in orangutans, and we also see it in some New World monkeys, capuchins, which turn out to have really, really big brains. So I think what's really important about that is that can be absolutely certain that the most recent common ancestor of humans and apes shared this capacity for social learning and the capacity to adapt and change and develop behavioral innovations and have them spread through the group through this social process. And that undoubtedly enabled early hominins to be able to adapt to new environments in a totally different way than in many other species.
Let's go get a question from the audience here. Yes. It's all right. It'll get on. Testing one. Go ahead.
Cypher said that dominance rankings seem not to be a stressor for female baboons, and yet it does seem to be for male baboons. Is that because dominance ranking is not changeable for females, or is there another reason for that?
Did you hear the question? Dominance rank.
The question was that I said that dominance rank for females was not a cause of stress, but we know from Robert Sapolsky's work that it is a cause of stress for males.
ね、そうですよね。
I think
テストステロ
the
ン
interesting
多いんですよ。順位が
link
高いの。
between that and reproductive success. Dominance rank in baboons, at least the ones that we've been studying, is not a perfect predictor of who reproduces. Low-ranking females have offspring at roughly the same rates as high-ranking females have offspring. Baboons are what scientists call a low skew species, because unlike wolves, where all the reproduction is skewed to the alpha female, in baboons it's divided pretty equally. For males, it's not true. It's the alpha male who gets the vast majority of the reproduction. Not perfect, but most of it. So what's interesting in an evolutionary sense is that the same things that cause stress in daily life are those things that affect your reproductive success over your entire life history.
12人までですか
So it's as if
これ。
natural selection has acted on the stress response to make those things stressful to you that are most likely to affect your reproductive success. And you see it in the sex study.
All right. Thank you. There was people missed on the schedule. There was another lecture that's supposed to take place. Dr. Van Schaik was supposed to be here today, but he's had a family emergency. He's not been able to come to do the lecture. So we're running over on questions instead of his lecture for being here. And let me go to. Okay, go ahead. Why don't you ask your question, and I'll go to my kitchen cafeteria question after that.
Thank you. I'd like to direct this question to Dr. Seifert on his definition of social intelligence. I was just at the IPS in the summer, and of course on the other side of the pond, they have, I think, a very antagonistic view of social intelligence because it includes tactical deception and Machiavellian intelligence. And it looks like the way you're framing social intelligence is it has to do with very positive social relations and the relation with reproductive success. But this is important because I might just give a background. I collect data on brain structures, and I combine my data set with the Stefan data set, and I find that the neopallium, or the neocortex, is 85% larger in anthropoids over prosimians when you regress it against the rest of the brain. So if we're looking for what the driving force is in the increase of the neopallium, it is really important to get a definition of social intelligence that we all agree on. But I'd be very interested in your concept of it.
Can we agree on definition of social intelligence? Is that what you're asking, ma'am? Yes. Okay.
Well, I think so. You mentioned two different ways of looking at social intelligence. One is one based on sort of deception and trickery and that sort of thing, and the other is based more on forming those relationships that are cooperative and most beneficial to you. But of course, they're two sides of the same coin. The reason why, I mean, frankly, I'm a little bit skeptical of the claims, the vast claims for deception in non-human primates, including apes. I mean, there's some intriguing anecdotes, but we don't have anything like the body of data on deception. And also the word deception is certainly a loaded term in humans. It implies a lot of rather elaborate cognitive operations. We're not sure those cognitive operations are actually going on in apes. So we could certainly define social intelligence in humans